In the year 1348, London was already one of the largest cities in Europe, home to perhaps eighth. Daily life unfolded in cramped lanes where refuse, animal waste, and human activity shared the same limited space. In 1348, London was already overcrowded, its population pressing against walls built for a much smaller city. Daily life unfolded in tight spaces where people, animals, and waste shared the same ground. Most residents depended on shared wells and river water, systems easily exposed to contamination. The Thames brought food and goods into London, but it also carried disease from distant ports. Families often lived in one room, breathing smoke and damp air every day. Food reached the city daily, but spoilage was common and difficult to prevent. Rodents thrived wherever waste and shelter were plentiful. Drainage systems existed, but blockages were frequent and hard to clear. The walls defended London, but they also trapped people and waste inside. Even before the plague, burial space inside the city was limited. Care for the sick depended on monasteries and traditional medical beliefs. Air moved poorly through many streets, leaving spaces heavy and enclosed. London Bridge carried homes and shops, adding weight and congestion to its design. Timber buildings aged quickly in damp conditions. Human waste was stored close to living spaces, rarely isolated from daily life. Food was stored wherever space allowed, often in conditions that attracted vermin. Animals were kept within the city, increasing contact between species. With little room to expand, homes grew upward instead. Faith shaped how illness was understood and endured. Despite its walls, London remained open to constant movement. Ships brought vital supplies from Europe, along with unseen risks. Moved quickly, with little concern beyond trade. The city appeared functional, but pressure was building everywhere. By late 1348, all the conditions for disaster were already in place. What came next would test London in ways it had never faced before. As fear spread across the city, monks turned to prayer, attempting to ward off the plague with divine intervention. As the death toll climbed, paranoia set in, and people avoided contact with anyone suspected of being infected. Doctors, armed only with rudimentary understanding, could do little to stem the rising tide of illness. Graves began to fill quickly, with space growing scarce as the dead piled up at an alarming rate. The streets became a grim procession, as the bodies of the dead were carted away to make room for more. With the plague creeping closer, many stayed indoors, afraid to venture into the streets or seek help. In these moments of fear, the church became a refuge, as people sought solace in their faith. Every day felt like trudging through the muck, as the weight of the plague bore down on every living soul. Even the wealthiest were not immune. Many locked themselves away, unable to escape the invisible terror outside. Even in the face of death, life tried to continue, with supplies being moved cautiously through the city's dark alleys. Markets once filled with life now stood empty, as the plague took its toll on trade and the economy. In the silence, a single flame flickered, as uncertain as the hope of survival. The bell tolled, summoning all who could hear it, though few had the strength or will to answer. The city's boundaries were clear, but no one could escape the spread of disease, no matter how far they fled. As the plague spread, rumors became as dangerous as the disease itself, dividing families and friends. New graves were dug each day, and the land outside the city became as crowded as the streets within. As the plague took its toll, families disappeared, leaving behind only shadows and cold rooms. Some chose to flee the city, hoping that the fields beyond would offer refuge from the invisible enemy. Coffins were stacked high, a grim reminder of how quickly the city's population was being reduced. Inside, families struggled to survive, fighting their own battles with fear and grief. In the dark corners of the city, whispers spread like wildfire, each person trying to keep their distance. The tolling bell rang out, marking another day of loss and sorrow for the city. The fog hung heavy over London, a fitting cloak for a city on the brink of collapse. The city, once alive with sound and movement, now felt like a ghost town. Once bustling marketplaces now lay abandoned, the goods left to rot in the open air. For many, faith became the only solace, the rosary a constant reminder of hope amidst despair. In the face of relentless suffering, many turned to prayer, seeking protection from the invisible threat. Markets and shops were shuttered, the city's pulse slowing with each passing day. Even food, once a daily necessity, became a casualty of the plague, left to spoil in the streets. The plague's devastation spared no one. Even the youngest among them were forced to witness its horrors. As death claimed more lives, the church played a vital role in comforting the grieving, offering last rites and prayer. Burial sites could not keep up with the demand. The dead were piled high, as the earth could no longer hold them. Homes once filled with laughter and life now stood empty, their lights flickering out one by one. As the night fell over London, the city seemed to hold its breath, awaiting whatever came next. Those left behind were caught between fear and helplessness, unsure of what the future held. Markets lay abandoned, the goods once sought after now left to the whims of the wind. Life in the city had become fragile. Each day felt like a fight to hold on to the light. With the plague ravaging the land, the walls stood as silent sentinels, offering no protection from what was already inside.